Welcome to Tips Over Tea. This is season 2. I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to have great conversations with some amazing people. And I have the opportunity to hang out with you guys again, my guests. Make sure you have your tea, whether it be hot or cold, for the Tips Over Tea. And make sure you have your notebook so you can take plenty of notes. And if you're so inclined, bring a friend or two to join you. For now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. You get to hang out with me for today. This will probably be quick. I just wanted to have a conversation on should you reconsider journaling? If it's something that you had started in the past and you just found it too tedious or found yourself not being consistent with journaling and thus you gave up on it completely, I'd like to have a conversation. Well, it's kind of a conversation. It's me talking to you. Why this comes up now, I was giving a lunch and learn session at an organization where I'm working with people on speaking and presenting and doing impromptu speeches. The goal was to get someone or get the audience excited about or more interested in something that we whatever we decided to talk about. And journaling was the one that I chose just because of the conversation that occurred in the room in general. And so if journaling had been for you associated with you and like deep-seated emotions that you didn't want to deal with, I can see how journaling could potentially be off-putting or not be something you'd be interested in considering or doing. For one, that work in and of itself is a lot, especially trying to do it alone, that deep inner work. So if that was the sole purpose of you journaling, I can see why it would be something that tended to not be consistent, because if every time you went to write, you're focusing on things, bringing out pain and releasing pain, it's just not a pleasant experience. I was pretty much like that in the past myself. I was not consistent with journaling because I wasn't going, like, I associated it strictly with the healing aspect with regards to trauma and stuff like that. And I'm like, I wasn't going through trauma all the time, which is great. I wasn't dealing with the pains all the time. They were not always coming up. And so my journaling, because I only saw it as my outlet for dealing with those issues, it was never a consistent practice. I didn't feel a need to write on a regular basis. So I didn't understand when people would talk about their journaling practice. It was not until recently where I discovered that, one, the idea of journaling doesn't necessarily have to be associated strictly with your thoughts in that area. Journaling is just writing stuff down on a consistent basis, kind of with an intended purpose in mind, right? And so I literally started journaling about my goals, about just different things. I have different journals for different things, because what I also have found when I started to get more consistent with my practice, if I had several different things going on in one journal, flipping back, it was just too much. I was like, where in here did I write this? I remember thinking this and, things like that. So what I started doing is I have little small notebooks, and I had different journals for different areas of my life. And I found that it's been easier to keep track of things, to stay focused on things, and to be consistent with my practice, because I have associated the journaling with things that I'm striving for, both personally, professionally, and everything. And another reason to use journaling that kind of came to mind as I was giving this impromptu speech is it captures your thought process behind things. So if you have children, uh, it would be good something for them to even reference, especially if it's like a goal journal. Like, how did mom or dad deal with this type of situation? What were their thought processes, especially if they can't talk to you at a certain time or whatever? Um, it can capture just how you thought about things, how you thought through things, how you work through things. And I remember, what book was that? I think it was Principles by Ray Dalio. I'm not positive. But I remember someone saying or reading somewhere that they had wished that Steve Jobs had captured how he did things, like his thought process, his principles, the way he envisioned Apple and how he kept Apple the way it was, or, how he grew it. Like, if they could just get a hint of insight as to how his mind like went through all that, that would have been great. So if you imagine if he journaled how he came up with ideas, how the innovation and things happen, like the type of insight we could glean from that as entrepreneurs or even leaders in general. So journaling doesn't have to be about releasing trauma all the time. It can be, it's very helpful, but it can also be a way of keeping yourself focused and accountable on certain goals or certain intentions. It could be you capturing your life. I know sometimes we don't even think about writing a book. And then when we've gone through so many different things and we're like, and people are asking, when are you going to write your book? And trying to recall everything can be a challenge. So just capturing your days and your life, maybe 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you will want to write a memoir or something, and you have already a lot of data captured. So I just want to encourage you, maybe, perhaps, reconsider your definition of journaling and what the purpose of it is, and just remind yourself that it's not necessarily just you pouring your heart out and releasing the painful events in your life. It can be a celebratory journal. It can be a goal journal. It can be a food tracking, nutrition, health intention journal. I mean, those are still goals and things like that, but it can be whatever the heck it is you want it to be. And I think it really became two things that recently happened that made my mindset switch around journaling. One, I read the book The Code Red, and she talks about journaling about the different phases in your cycle, because the way our hormones fluctuate, our mood fluctuates, our appetite fluctuates, all of that. And just journaling and just getting a better sense of you as a woman. And I had not ever thought about that before. And then I finally read The Miracle Morning. After I've heard about it before, but it wasn't until I listened to an interview that Hal Elrod did on what is that podcast? The Speaking Academy's podcast. His interview actually inspired me to read the book. And I read the book and I was like, I like it. So I've actually, I was already meditating, so I got part of the Savers already done anyway. And I was struggling to be consistent with my exercise routine. And so after reading The Miracle Morning, and I started incorporating Savers, and I have officially completed 46 days straight of a full Savers routine. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out the book, you'll see it. But one of the things in that morning routine is journaling or scribing. It doesn't even have to be journaling, it could just be writing something in general. So today I actually I published an article for folks to read, but most of the time I'm writing in my goal journal, my intentions journal, and that's when those are the two instances that made me rethink what it's like, or what journaling could mean, or what journaling could be. And so I've been consistently writing in my journals. Some journals don't have I don't have anything to put in some days, and other days I do. And either way, I have seen a shift. I've felt like I'm being pulled or inspired towards where I'm trying to go. And even if journaling's not appealing for a consistent practice for you, just because you don't do it for a day or two or whatever have you, doesn't mean that you failed at it. Especially if you're using it solely for dealing with traumatic issues that come up or emotional things that come up that you're trying to process. Ideally, you won't have to do something in that journal every single day. If you do, no judgment, you're at least doing something to process the emotions. But that's really all I got for you today. Just rethinking potentially about journaling and tracking and how it could be used, how you could leave your footprint on the world with, especially if you have children to leave it to. Just a way of capturing you. So that's all I got. I didn't even drink tea. I'll take a sip. But yeah, that's where I wanted to focus the conversation just for today. Something to reconsider or consider if you hadn't considered it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you do? Do you journal? If you do, is it a specific type of journal? Do you have multiple journals? How long have you been journaling? I'd love to hear your experience with it. And perhaps I'll have some guests on another episode, just having a conversation about how journaling has impacted their life, or if at all. But for sure for me, it has been a positive addition to my morning routine. And that's why I'm on here advocating for it in some way, shape, form, or fashion, no matter what your age is. And the sooner you can get to it, the better. So that's what I got for you today. I hope it was enlightening, inspiring, thought-provoking a little bit. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But for now, create the most amazing now moments. And if you meditate with me at 5 in the morning, I will see you in the morning. For now, take care. I'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hope you enjoyed the show and got a lot of good information. Be sure to like, subscribe, tap the bell so you know when we air again. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Enjoy the rest of your week.